Mom said, tossing my clothes into a suitcase. He's preparing for medical school. He needs to focus. I stood in my childhood bedroom watching 18 years of my life being packed away like trash. My half-finished business degree didn't matter. My dreams didn't matter. Nothing mattered except my younger brother David's medical school ambitions. But I only have 1 year left in college, I pleaded. I can help with rent, I just need dash. Enough, Anna. Dad's voice boomed from the doorway. We've spent enough on your business degree. What's it good for anyway? David needs this opportunity. He has real potential. The words stung, but I refused to cry. I could sleep on the couch, dash. No, Mom cut me off. You need to learn to stand on your own feet. Earn and eat for yourself. We have nothing to give you now. Dad pulled out my tuition receipt from his pocket and ripped it in half. Consider this a life lesson. The real world isn't going to coddle you. 20 minutes later, I stood on the sidewalk with 2 suitcases and $237 in my bank account. My phone buzzed, a text from David. Sorry sis, but I really need the space. Good luck. That was 10 years ago. I walked into my office at Dawn Properties, the real estate empire I'd built from nothing. The view of the city skyline reminded me daily of how far I'd come from that sidewalk. My assistant, Maria, rushed in with my morning coffee. Miss Carter, the Henderson deal closed. The paperwork just came through. I smiled, taking a sip. Perfect. And the lakeside mansion. Ready for viewing today. The current owners are moving out as we speak. The lakeside mansion. My latest acquisition and coincidentally my parents' dream home. They'd driven past it every Sunday after church, telling David how one day when he became a successful doctor he could buy them a house like that. They had no idea I just bought it. Any word from the hospital about David? I asked casually. Maria checked her tablet. Yes, his residency was terminated last month. 3rd hospital in 2 years. I nodded. After failing medical school twice, David had somehow managed to get a residency through my parents' connections. But his performance issues followed him everywhere. Miss Carter. Maria hesitated. Your parents were seen in the neighborhood yesterday looking at the mansion. They might show up during the viewing today. I'm counting on it, I replied. Make sure everything's ready. Maria? Call me Anna today. Just Anna. Hours later, I stood in the mansion's grand foyer, dressed in simple jeans and a plain sweater. Right on schedule, I heard familiar voices outside. Look, David. This could have been yours if you just focused harder. Mom's voice carried through the open door. Maybe if we'd given you more study space. I stepped onto the front steps, purposely holding a feather duster. Right on cue, their eyes found me. Anna. Dad squinted. Is that you? Mom's face twisted into a familiar smirk. Oh my God, you're the maid here? Well, I suppose cleaning houses is better than being homeless. David at least had the decency to look uncomfortable. Hi sis. I was about to respond when my real estate director Catherine walked out. Owner. The paperwork for the renovation permits just arrived. Would you like to review them now? The look on my parents' faces was priceless. Mom's jaw dropped. Dad's smirk froze. David turned pale. Owner. Mom whispered. I handed the feather duster to Maria, who'd appeared beside me. His mom. Owner. Not just of this house but of Dawn Properties. The largest real estate firm in 3 states. I smiled. Would you like a tour of what earning and eating for myself looks like? The silence that followed was deafening. 10 years of their assumptions, their dismissal, their favoritism, all shattered in a single moment. We should go, Dad muttered, turning away. Actually, I called after them, you might want to stay. There's something about your rental house we need to discuss. You see, I just bought that property too. They stopped dead in their tracks. This was just the beginning of what would become a very interesting family reunion. Please come inside, I gestured to my stunned family. We have a lot to discuss. They followed me into the mansion's grand foyer, their eyes darting between the crystal chandelier, marble floors and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the lake. Mom's hands fidgeted with her worn purse, the same one she'd carried for years, a far cry from the designer bags she used to own. Have a seat. I indicated the imported Italian leather sofas in the living room. Catherine discreetly left us alone, but not before handing me a thick folder. How? Dad's voice cracked. How did you afford this? I sat across from them, crossing my legs. Remember when you kicked me out? Told me to earn and eat for myself. I opened the folder. I spent that night in a 24-hour diner applying for every job I could find. A small real estate office hired me as their receptionist. A receptionist? Mom scoffed, trying to maintain her superiority. And now you expect us to believe you own all this? Within 6 months, I was their top sales agent. In a year, I'd saved enough to take night classes and finish my business degree. In 2 years, I bought the company. I pulled out some documents. Now about your rental house. David leaned forward. Look, Anna, if this is about revenge dash. Revenge? I laughed softly. No, David. This is business. You see, I've been buying properties all over the city. Including the house you're renting, the medical building where you lost your last residency, and... I paused. The storage unit where Mom and Dad have been keeping their furniture since downsizing. Their faces paled. You've been living in that rental house for 3 years, I continued. Always late on payments, constantly requesting repairs. The previous landlord was too nice to evict you. We've had some temporary setbacks, Dad protested. Once David gets established dash. David was terminated from his 3rd residency last month. I cut in. No hospital in the state will hire him now. And you've drained your retirement fund trying to support his temporary setbacks. Mom stood up, trembling. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Watching us struggle while you live in luxury. Actually, Mom, I'm offering you a solution. I pulled out a contract. I'm willing to sell you this house. At half its market value. They stared at me. Of course, you'd need to qualify for the mortgage. Prove your income, show employment history, demonstrate financial responsibility. I smiled. You know, all those real-world lessons you wanted me to learn. We can't afford even half, Dad admitted, looking defeated. Then I have another proposal. I produced a second document. I'm opening a new branch of Dawn Properties. We need experienced staff for maintenance, landscaping, and property management. Real jobs with real salaries and benefits. No handouts, no favors. You'd start at entry level like everyone else. David's face reddened. You want us to work as your servants? No, I want to give you what you gave me, a chance to earn and eat for yourself. I stood up. You have until the end of the month to decide. That's when your rental agreement expires. And if we refuse? Mom challenged. Then you'll need to find a new rental. One you can actually afford. The storage facility will also need to be cleared out by the end of the month. I walked to the window. It's your choice. Pride or prosperity. As they sat there, absorbing the reality of their situation, I remembered that night 10 years ago, standing on the sidewalk with nothing but determination. Sometimes life's harshest lessons become our greatest opportunities. Take some time to think about it, I said, walking toward the door. Oh, and Mom? That room you gave to David for his studies? It's a lovely home office now. I sign all my biggest deals there. 1 year later, I stood at the window of my executive office, watching my father meticulously tending to the gardens of the Lakeside Estate Complex, now Dawn Properties' most prestigious development. He'd started as a basic maintenance worker, but his attention to detail had earned him the position of head groundskeeper. Mom worked in the leasing office, her designer clothing dreams replaced by a practical business wardrobe. She'd initially struggled with the role, especially when her former country club friends came in as clients. But something unexpected happened. She became good at it. Really good. Her personal experience with financial hardship had made her more empathetic, helping clients find homes that truly matched their needs rather than their social aspirations. Miss Carter. Maria appeared at my door. Your brother's here for his quarterly review. David entered, wearing the property management trainee uniform. After 3 months of refusing my offer, sleeping on friends' couches and failing to find another medical residency, he'd finally swallowed his pride and applied for an entry-level position. Have a seat, I gestured to the chair across from my desk. How are you finding the maintenance certification program? He shifted uncomfortably. It's different, but I'm learning a lot. Mr. Peterson says I have a knack for HVAC systems. I saw your test scores. Top of the class. I pulled up his performance review on my tablet. Your supervisor reports that you haven't missed a single shift, and your customer service ratings are excellent. It's weird, he admitted. In medical school I was always struggling, always feeling like I wasn't good enough. Here, fixing things, helping residents. It feels right. I nodded. Sometimes the path our parents choose for us isn't the one we're meant to follow. Mom and Dad. He hesitated. They're different now. Happier, actually. Dad loves working with the gardens, and Mom, I've never seen her so satisfied with her work. Speaking of work, I handed him an envelope. Congratulations. You've earned your first bonus. His eyes widened as he read the amount. This is more than I made in 3 months as a medical resident. Because here you're succeeding on your own merit, not struggling to fulfill someone else's dreams. Just then my office door opened and Mom hurried in, excitement on her face. Anna. Oh, sorry, I didn't know David was here. But I just closed the Henderson deal. My first luxury property sale. The pride in her voice was different from her old social climbing days. This was pride in actual achievement. Well done, I smiled. That commission will be substantial. Her face softened. I was thinking, would it be okay if I took your father out to celebrate? That little Italian place down the street? We haven't had a nice dinner out in so long. Mom, I said gently, you don't need my permission to spend your earned money. She blinked back tears. I know. It's just, we were so wrong about you, about everything. We thought success meant prestigious titles and expensive things. But real success. She gestured around the office. Real success is building something meaningful. Like the garden Dad's creating downstairs? David added. He's so proud of that new rose section. I walked to the window, looking down at my father carefully pruning his beloved roses. Why don't we make it a family dinner? All of us. Really? Mom's voice was hopeful. Yes. But this time no talk about what anyone should be doing with their life. Just family, celebrating honest work and real achievements. Later that evening, sitting at the restaurant with my family, I watched them share stories about their jobs, their challenges, their small victories. Gone was the pretense, the pressure, the constant competition. In its place was something we'd never had before, genuine connection. Dad raised his glass. To Anna, he said softly, who taught us the true meaning of earn and eat for yourself. No, I corrected him, lifting my own glass. To second chances and the courage to take them. As we clinked glasses, I thought about that night 10 years ago, standing on the sidewalk with nothing. They'd meant to teach me a harsh lesson about life, but in the end I taught them something far more valuable. That true success isn't about what you're given but what you build from.